I got some.
All right. Hello, everyone. All right, Ryan. Matty, what's going on?
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, we're just doing some quick setup here. So where are you at nowadays?
I am living on a ranch in New Mexico with a puppy called Buddy.
Hey, Buddy.
I am already excited for our conversation.
Is that
I
a
got out of
custom
LA
LaCroix
in
artwork?
July of last year.
Okay.
And set up an art retreat ranch out here, and have been hosting artists and hanging out.
That is super cool. Wow, I have so many questions about that. First and foremost, when can we come out? I do great digital art, just really good at like blending together pineapple pictures and filters. I can send you some of my stuff. Yeah, it's really good.
Please,
oh yeah.
Please send it along.
خط التلفزيون كان ممكن اشغل لكم CES هنا نشوف لو في حاجه مفيده.
I was going to ask everybody to mute as we get started here. All right, we're recording.
Where is that coming from?
That's the fun of having a long Zoom call.
All right, there we go. All right, cool. All right, so we'll give it like another second. Just let people pile in. But I think we figured out our mute problem, so that's good to go.
Is pile in the appropriate vernacular for Zoom meeting?
I don't know, like click in. I don't know. We're trying to make it feel as though we're all together, at the Aria or the Sands, the Venetian, hanging out in a small cramped room in Vegas. All right. Well, I think with that, we can get started on this one. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the second partner session of the day. I am Scott Elcherson, Manager of Partnerships at the IPG Media Lab. With me, as always, is Ryan,
Hey, Scott.
Another Partnerships Manager at the IPG Media Lab. And we're speaking with the one and only Matty Moe, who is the founder of The Most Famous Artists. So Matty, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I was really glad when you reached out that I'd have an opportunity to share my story with your audience.
Yeah. Oh, we're super excited. So just to kick things off, we'd love to kind of give everybody here some background on yourself and The Most Famous Artists. So before the show here, we were talking that you were currently out in New Mexico on a ranch with a dog hosting artists in an artist retreat. So just kind of what is your backstory? What's going on? Because I think that is the most interesting introduction we've had all week.
Sure. So I was an early entrepreneur on the Facebook and YouTube platforms around 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I was at school at Stanford when Facebook launched its developer API and built a whole bunch of Facebook apps. From there, I built a native ad network called ShareThrough with a group of co-founders. Spent some time in the ad tech space, went on to work in the agency space at an agency called Mechanism and others. Built a few more ad tech products, and then in 2013 decided I wanted to try my hand at becoming a famous artist, taking kind of the direct response advertising insights I had gleaned and applying them to becoming a direct-to-consumer artist. And the rest is history. If you Google The Most Famous Artist, you find me next to Picasso and Warhol and Van Gogh and a few others. That's largely a result of SEO. Over the course of the last, let's call it 7 years, I've built a career selling fine art direct to consumer. I built a mural business. I built let's call it an experiential agency. And now I'm focusing on building a distributed studio of multidisciplinary artists around the world.
Wow, that is that's a lot. So that's super exciting. And one of the things I want to talk to you about is because you have this, great background in the world of advertising, in technology, in art. Like you kind of combine them all together. And when we've talked previously, one of the things you have always talked about is about driving headlines. That was one of the things that you were really interested in doing with your art. So coming out of last year, how did you approach like driving headlines when there was so much it's like other things going on, right? And I think that's going to lead us into a very interesting conversation around a silver shiny, thing that was founded in a desert.
Sure. Yeah. So it probably makes sense to take a step back and talk strategically about why headlines are important to me.
Mm-hmm.
As an independent artist, or trying to build an independent artist career under the persona of the most famous artist, I needed to one, create backlinks to my website to then rank as far as SEO is concerned for the most famous artist.
Right.
So I also noticed that at the time when I was starting, websites like BuzzFeed and various news outlets were always searching for headlines that would look good inside of the newsfeed. So for example, they'd be a really strong call to action or crazy phrase, along with a compelling image that would drive traffic to that publisher's website. Sorry, my puppy Buddy is misbehaving a little bit. So the goal was, okay, how can I reverse engineer the creation of headlines? And I started often by thinking about my art projects in terms of what I want the headline to be and who the publisher would be.
Okay.
So for example, I came up with this headline: teach a famous dog, like an Instagram famous dog, how to paint a portrait of itself. And I knew that BuzzFeed would be the right publisher for that. So I pitched the editorial staff at BuzzFeed, and once they said, yes, that's a story we're interested, I made the art project happen. And I've done that on a number of occasions where I've backed in from starting with what I think the headline ought to be, and then architecting the project around the headline. And what that's been able to provide me is the aforementioned backlinks, but also credibility as an artist and distribution for my work. So that's one of the tenets of my work is using the mainstream media to provide distribution and credibility. The second is creating installations or experiences that are highly photographable or selfieable, so that the public becomes a distribution mechanism for my work also. I think both of those insights or both those tactics that I use as an artist are things that brands can use to think about marketing themselves in a more efficient and effective way. Because I've got tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of impressions off my various projects without any media dollars, without a team behind me, all because I'm thinking cleverly about how to use the media to my advantage and how to arm consumers with the type of material that they want to share to their own audiences.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting approach. And when I think about that too, it's like a go-to-market strategy, right? It's like it's really good for maybe like a product launch, or if a brand is looking to do something, like you said, like drive a headline, like what can you do or make, and thinking about it from like the lens of like what's that headline we want to say, and then backing into it. I think it's a really interesting framework to think about.
Another thing I'll note is there's this like cultural calendar. For example, the ad world and the tech world is at CES right now. And then there's ad tech, or then there's these various events along the cultural calendar. If you think about what industry you sit inside of, you can figure out what is the cultural calendar for that industry, and then pay attention to how the news cycle reacts to that cultural calendar, and then inject yourself into the news cycle and plan ahead, knowing that, the Super Bowl is going to happen. So let's plan around the Super Bowl and the news cycle that's going to happen around the Super Bowl, and introduce a project that we know is going to hit the Super Bowl audience. And all of a sudden we've hijacked the media without any media dollars.
Right.
Yeah. So you're talking about all this reverse engineering of like the media cycle and the culture cycle. And obviously that's good in establishing the framework for the art that you're creating. But ultimately, where do you draw that inspiration from a creative perspective? Like, how do you define what medium is right to interpret whatever theme you're trying to convey and so on?
Yeah. I mean, early on it was quite difficult, but now I have a studio of 225 artists across 20 different countries, and we meet on a regular basis for workshops, office hours with industry experts. We have a discussion forum. We have Instagram pods, and a lot of the brilliant ideas come out of my community. So I'm almost crowdsourcing the ideas through this very diverse, very global, very interesting community of artists. And as a result, we've kind of got this like pretty insane machine going.
Right. And so speaking of kind of like crowdsourcing those ideas, like how did the monolith come apart? Was that one of those crowdsourced ideas that the team had like put together to, like I said, drive a headline in a year that was like one headline beat the next headline?
Yeah, I mean, the monolith was the art story of the year. And if you look it up, the most famous artist was responsible for it. So you could say that we know what we're doing. I guess the insight there is that the monolith as a project is only possible with a global distributed network of collaborators.
Right.
Because the news cycle only really latched on to the insanity of it as a result of monoliths subsequently appearing in different cities and adding to the mystery.
Right.
So I guess that's where that's the genius of the monolith strategy from my perspective, and what my team was able to execute on is that not only were we able to take something that was clearly going to become a meme, but act on it at scale. And so if you think back on like the big art moments over the course of a few years, like the Mauricio Catalan banana, that was a memeable moment.
Classic.
At Art Basel, this artist, this Italian artist, duct taped a banana to a wall and sold it for 150 grand, and it became a meme because it was easily replicable. The Banksy, the Banksy shredded
painting.
That was another big art moment. The key here is that these art moments are simple and repeatable. If you look at TikTok, for example, TikTok is a meme on top of a meme on top of a meme. And that's what consumers are used to doing, which is remixing. We're like living in a world of remixed culture. So if you as a brand or you as an artist want your stuff to be remixed, make sure that the metaphorical song is easy to replicate,
right,
and all of the samples are laid out so that everyone capable of remixing it can remix it.
Right. You want to give the audience the tools to point remix whatever piece of art or content you want them to like latch onto.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Like my studio created some monoliths, but we didn't create all the monoliths. There were some random folks out there that started creating monoliths, but as a result of being early in the news cycle, communicating to the public that this was a thing that we hope gets replicated, we were viewed as these geniuses, at least in my opinion, for having created such a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
So, and you said like none of this would all be possible without that global artist collective that you wound up building. And how do you find people that are like-minded to you? I would say that you have a pretty unique skill set. I hope you wouldn't mind in saying that. I hope it's take it as a compliment. But yeah, how do you identify these other people who are, artists, marketers, hybrids of both?
Well, especially as a result of COVID, people are looking for their community online.
Yep.
And I'm not looking for people like me. I'm looking for people different than me. I'm looking for people that demonstrate specialization. I'm looking for people who are committed to their practice. I'm looking for a number of characteristics, but it has nothing to do with them being similar to me, because what I'm trying to do is share all of my insights as an artist with a community of artists who also have interesting, unique insights that can share back with me. And together we all rise. We've got this knowledge repository that's completely searchable, where everyone is contributing insights and tactics and strategies and product ideas, and everyone can communicate within this platform around these ideas. And as a result, we're all getting smarter, and it's all indexed in such a way that it's easy to search. So we're really building like this brain of a whole bunch of diverse people around the world who demonstrate, first, a commitment to their practice, and second, in like a culture of giving.
Right.
Like Like I'm giving all of the insights I have away to the artists in my community in hopes that they give their insights to me, because that's how I get smarter,
Right.
especially from practitioners.
Yeah. And so I'm curious. So we have a pretty solid foundation now of yourself and this community and what the most famous artist is. And so when you put like the brand lens back on it, like how or in what ways are you looking to work with brands? Like how can somebody come in and tap this community and this knowledge pool to create something incredible?
Sure. Well, I'll give you a couple examples, and then we can go from there. So imagine you want to roll out a global project where artists have to install things all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Imagine you want to get people across cultures and geographies to test your product.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Imagine you want to do a focus group on your brand positioning or your art direction or whatever it is. Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
There's all sorts of things that we offer that are not like the products of a traditional creative agency, media agency, or PR agency.
Right.
We're quite literally offering access to a network of experts in the spirit of collaboration. So we've done everything from licensing deals to activations, murals, stunts, paid discovery, strategy. The general thesis here is that I'm out working with brands to bring dollars into the community to then subsidize the cost of these artists' art practices so that they can grow into the next Basquiat or Keith Haring or Warhol. Maybe I'm not that guy, but someone in my community is.
Mm-hmm.
And so all I'm trying to do is adopt the lens, which is brands are patrons of culture.
Yep.
In the same way that the Medicis were patrons of culture because they have the resources and the agenda. We as an art community open our arms to all brands who want to interact with us, knowing that what we offer is a unique, high quality audience, along with the cultural credibility that comes with being a practicing artist.
Right.
And I think that's our unique differentiation and our unique positioning that allows us to get cool deals that come our way. We don't have a standardized product per se.
Right.
We allow brands to sponsor our platform. So if you're like a beverage company or you're a clothing company and you want to uniform our entire community, great, let's do a collaboration. If you're a brand that wants to do a package design sprint with our entire community, great, let's do that. We're not an agency first. We're an agency as a result of that being a clever mechanism through which we finance our passions.
Right. That's
So
fascinating.
then how would you define who your competitive set is? Would you say that you have a true competitor?
I'm quite literally the most famous fucking artist, dude.
Yeah.
No, I think in the future, we are going to be a challenger to the incumbent agencies simply because I have no overhead, yet I have 200 people that I can collaborate with.
Right.
Name an agency that can do that. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I'm creating value for my entire community and the entire group of people who are committed to their own practices are getting better as a result of my commitment to making this community as interesting and as lucrative and as educational as possible. So it starts with like a truly caring for the community. And as a result, all these great things will happen. I anticipate doing large scale real estate projects wherein we launch like studio space as a service in multiple cities. I anticipate building out small towns like Donald Judd did in Marfa, Texas. I anticipate building a marketplace for art. I anticipate building an art fair. I anticipate all sorts of things, but it starts with this close-knit community of artists around the world who are aligned on our values and our mission.
So as we obviously are at CES. It's the beginning of the year, and you were talking about this kind of like cultural calendar. Are there any big events that you're thinking about already that could be interesting? Because, you know, again, I bring this up because obviously it's the beginning of the year. You know, brands are planning and thinking about the year to come. There's a lot of unknowns around it. But just from your, you know, experience and what you're thinking about, what are some things or areas or, you know, pieces of culture that you think are going to be pretty prominent this year that maybe brands start thinking about surrounding?
Sure. Are you guys familiar with the platform Clubhouse?
Yes, very familiar with Clubhouse.
So what's interesting, what I'm getting more interested in is regular programming. Like
Okay.
less so chasing the story and more so creating value through regular programming. So we're hosting weekly art auctions on Clubhouse. We're hosting weekly art salons. We're growing our audience as a result of that, and opportunities are coming our way. In the past, we used mainstream media to get the top of our funnel activated.
Right.
We've already proved we know how to do that. So now what we're looking for is high quality leads who want to use our services, subsidize the cost of our art practices, and make it a win-win for everybody. I don't know that I'll be chasing any big headlines. I mean, a lot of the work we're doing is in preparation to react to cultural moments rather than planning ahead for cultural moments. So I know that if a cultural moment happens, I can react quickly. I have a fabrication studio. I have a street team. I have content teams. I have the whole gamut of what an agency would offer a brand. But we're all kind of just waiting for the right moment. We're not trying to force a moment to happen. Sure, we can look at the cultural calendar and anticipate moments, but we're not going to force a moment to happen just because we anticipate it will work.
Got it. Okay. And so when you say like quickly, is it like 24 hours, a week? Like just in general, what could that turnaround time be?
I mean,
yeah.
As quickly as like an hour.
Okay.
As well thought out as a year in advance, or multiple years in advance. I mean, we are not like, you can't really paint us as like this or that,
right?
Because we're something the world has never seen before. We're quite literally an internet connected digital community of highly skilled professional artists collaborating around the ethos that brands sponsor our work.
Right. And I bring that up because one of the things that we talk about at the lab, right, is you kind of like these like cultural moments like this. How do you get involved with them? And to your point, a lot of times these culture events pop up and maybe like you're a week late or you didn't see it coming, or like the quickest thing that we can do as a brand is like, you know, turn something on social, you know, do something like that. And so trying to find those solutions and people's and, you know, organizations that are like able to, you know, essentially find something and activate quickly and be able to be a part of that conversation of that cultural, be part of that cultural conversation as it's going up and it's gaining heat is very interesting. You know, it's kind of taking that more like, you know, like a faster reactive approach.
One way to think about that is like, if we were on retainer with a particular brand, we would be able to react more quickly because we would have worked around kind of what the parameters of what is possible and not possible, what the brand parameters are. If we're briefed on all that stuff and we're on a retainer over the course of, let's say, 12 months, we can commit to acting quickly on behalf of the brands we're on retainer with. That's in theory the job of the agency, but the agency, it just isn't that nimble.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, it's an interesting way of working, you know, and that's why we're trying to, you know, always inject, you know, brands, agents and clients with like new thinking, new processes and all that. Because, you know, again, out of anything we've thought about last year as a total reset of, you know, how we do work, how we consume content. And so just, you know, at the start of the year, what better place to talk about, you know, new, whether that's from technology and art to just like workflow processes than CES. And so with that, just minding the time, we do have 5 minutes left here. So for the audience in the chat, feel free to ask us any questions along the way. If there's anything there, we'll make sure to ask Matty Mo. Just want to drop that in as we're closing out here. So Matty Mo, we've been asking everybody this. Is there anything about the most famous artists and the work everybody's doing here that we haven't spoken about yet or haven't asked you about yet that we should know?
I think something I'm looking for right now
Mhm.
is like long-term commitments from brand partners,
Mhm.
because as fun as a one-off campaign is, something wherein we can commit to collaborating for 12 to 24 months makes it a lot easier to enable good work to happen.
Right.
And so that's a really difficult thing to voice when a brand hits you up through your lead form on your website. It's really difficult to do unless you have the right stakeholders in the room. And I'm hoping that the right stakeholders in the room who could consider the value we've created through this community and hopefully commit to working with us over the long term, because that would bring about a level of stability to our model, so that everyone can get excited about focusing and aligning around the brand's goals.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Just checking the chat here. If there's nothing from the audience, just so you know, we have dropped the link to Matty Mo's deck, so you can find some additional content and slides from him, as well as his contact information. So if you're interested in reaching out to him, just let us know or download that deck and give him an email directly. Ryan, any last questions here as we're wrapping up?
Yeah, I'm just curious to know what's your favorite project that you've been a part of
Oh,
in
that's a
your
good one.
tenure as the most famous artist?
The monolith was pretty damn good.
That was a good one.
The
The airplane one was good. I like the airplane one.
Yeah, the private jet was good.
Mhm.
I proposed to Miley Cyrus on Instagram and she said yes, with some conditions, and then the mainstream media published that. That was kind of funny. We did a project with Gucci in 2015 wherein we remixed their patterns, and a number of artists worked on that project, and that was
very
really
cool.
fun.
Like remix them how? Just
So
like
we
different
took,
color palettes?
We took their pattern, which was this flower pattern, and
Mhm.
each artist reworked it into their own style. I appropriated. My dog is destroying paper behind me. I appropriated the American Gothic image and dressed the man and the woman in the Gucci print for that project. We were working on like a large scale selfie friendly ticketed experience in Hong Kong up until the Hong Kong protests happened at the middle of 2019, and then COVID. So that was an exciting project wherein we built out plans to activate a 10,000 square foot space, multiple experiences, built a full business model around it, but was cut short as a result of global events. I would like to see that come to fruition in the future, probably with more AR and VR rather than like if you look at the deck that I sent out on one of the slides, we built out these various modules, we'll call them, wherein you can recreate the most popular images on the internet. And the example I've given is like this kayak. And what's cool is if you put the right markers in with AR technology, you can actually activate an AR filter on top of the kayak that places the person in the right place. And it looks and feels like a really real experience. And it's a low-cost way of replicating like a highly desirable content making opportunity for consumers.
Got it. Well, awesome. Well, that puts us right at time. So Matty Mo, thank you very much for joining the IPG Media Lab here at CES Virtual 2021. Again, for everybody in the chat, you can find the deck and Matty's email in the link that Ryan provided, or feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to introduce you to Matty. And other than that, thank you so much.
Yeah, find me at themostfamousartist.com or Matty at themostfamousartist.com. Looking forward to hopefully hearing from some of you, and have a great CES and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much.
Matt.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your CES.
Thanks. Bye.